Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I have my book review of the book The Fall of Shannara, The Black Elfstone by Terry Brooks. This is the first in a 4-book tetralogy by Terry Brooks, chronicling the end of the Shannara series. Terry Brooks has written a lot of Shannara novels. There were, I believe, something around 31 Shannara novels in the specific Shannara universe, and then if you add in the 3 Word and Void books, it becomes like 34, 35, somewhere around there. So Terry Brooks has written quite a lot of Shannara in his time, and he wrote the starting in 1977 when the first book came out, all the way through about 2020 when the final book came out. And this series has meant a lot to the fantasy genre. It's one of the oldest and most popular fantasy series. Just about all the books in this series are New York Times bestsellers, and Terry Brooks just has a very dedicated fandom. And in fact, one of the Facebook groups I'm in, which is the Terry Brooks community, it's so great to see because the people there are just so much loving his universe, and they just love talking about his books, and they're so immersive in his books. And so the only thing of his I haven't read yet is the Word and Void trilogy, but otherwise I now have, and his most recent books, the Child of Light books, the ones that are coming out right now. I'll get to those eventually. But as of this will be the end of the Shannara series. And I do have the other books with me. I do have the second book, The Scar Invasion, the third book, The Steel Assassin, and the fourth book, The Last Druid. And this is a series that I find interesting because each book is longer than the previous one. Terry Brooks, when he started in his career, he started with big, huge books in The Sword of Shannara, which in mass market paperback is like 750 pages. And then you have Elfstones of Shannara, which is like 550 pages, and Wish Song's about 510 or 520. So they were, very decently sized novels. And then he started getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and he started getting to the 300 to 450 range. And that's been his sweet spot for the majority of his career, that 300 to 450 pages, somewhere in there, which I like to call the Star Wars sweet spot, because Star Wars books are almost always in that placement as well. And Terry Brooks did write a Star Wars novel, the novelization of Episode 1. Anyway, so this book features the end of the series, and it is doing quite a lot of setup. So you have a few different plot lines that intersect and all have to do with one another, but you don't fully understand how they're all connected. First of all, you have there is this mysterious army that is kind of unseen and difficult to kill, that is just moving through the Northlands, wiping out entire other armies. And we don't know who they are, what they want, or why they are here, or where they come from. All we know is that they are dangerous. And then you also have a young woman, like an older teenager named Tarsha Kayan, and she has the use of the Wish Song. And she wants to be reunited with her brother, who also has the Wish Song, but whereas she's able to control the Wish Song, her brother is not, and he ends up going crazy, going insane with it. And so she wants to learn more about magic so she can go back and basically protect her brother and be reunited with him and stop him from having his craziness. And so that's her point in the book. And she decides to go out in search of someone who can teach her the magic. And that person that she seeks out is the former druid, I don't know how to say the former high druid, the former leader of the druids, named Drisker Ark. And Drisker is kind of a washed out. He's done. He quit the druid stuff because he was fed up with where the rest of the druids wanted to go, and so he's left the order. And now he is living alone. And so she goes out to find him to have him teach her. The problem is, she's not the only one looking for Drisker Ark. There are assassins sent out to murder Drisker Ark, but we don't know why. There's also a plot line within the Druids of Paramore about a guy named Darken Lee, one of the Lee family people. If you've been reading the Shannara series, you know that name. And he is searching for Drisker after some failed battles. And so that's the basic premise of the book. And so you have all these different plot lines that kind of converge together towards the end of the book. And I would say that this book, and what I can assume is going to be the whole series, is an ultimate love letter to the Shannara universe. I think that this book is, in particular, a love letter to two Shannara novels. I'm going to say that this book is a love letter to the first king of Shannara and Wish Song of Shannara. So you have Wish Song of Shannara, the third book. This one, not only does it have the Wish Song, but this book features the idea that Paranor is in trouble. You have to go and save Paranor, and they have to do something with someone, with something there. I'm not going to spoil it because I don't want to spoil the book. But if you've read this and you've read this, you know exactly what I'm referring to. So that book, there's a lot of parallels, and also several of the characters have great parallels. The other book, The First King of Shannara, this book I think is very similar because there is this enemy who is advancing, and no one is willing to do anything to stop them. It's like, we know the enemy is coming. Why are you not sending out armies? Why are you not rallying troops? Why are you not coordinating? And people just seem not to feel the necessity of it. And in this book, you have the exact same thing. And again, some of the characters feel very similar between the two books. So, and what I'm hoping is that each of the subsequent books in the series, of the 4-book series, will follow that kind of idea. Follow the idea of connecting to previous books. I'm hoping that one of the books has homages to the Gerald Shannara trilogy, or Shannara trilogy. I'm hoping that one of the books will have connections to the Heritage series or connections to the original. And there is there is a fantastic connection to the OG sort of Shannara novel, and I'm really hoping that Terry expands upon that in the subsequent books, because that's just really cool. I mentioned that this book is about 380 pages in mass market, so it's about the length of these more recent ones, but he gets longer. The second book's about 450, so on the longer end. Third book's about 480 pages, so getting a bit longer again. And the final book is a tome. It's about 578 pages, which that's about, I don't know the exact word count length, but in least terms of pages in mass market, it would be, I believe, his second longest novel, only after The Sword of Shannara. So it shows that, he really, Terry Brooks did not just, phone it in, write something quick, and just turn it in. He really wanted to write something big, something epic, which is why, each book got longer. I think he was afraid of leaving the universe, even because he's been in it for so long. And I know that Terry Brooks took several attempts to leave the Shannara universe. First, he did the Magic Kingdom for Sale series, which I love, and then he did the Word and Void, which a lot of people, weren't excited about, and they wanted him to go back to Shannara both times. And he said, "Fine, if you want me to go back to Shannara, I'm tying Word and Void into Shannara." And I just find that funny. And then he is most recently working on his Child of Light series, and I'm really curious to see if he retires or if he decides to go back to the Shannara universe in some way. Like he said, this final book is the final book in the timeline. He's not going to write more books in the timeline. But he left open the idea that he could go back and write some books somewhere else in the timeline. And there is a specific point in the timeline that I really want to get more books from, and we haven't gotten it. It's between the duology, the Bears of the Black Staff, Measure of Magic duology, what is that? The Legends of Shannara, and First King. There's a huge gap there that is just kind of empty, and I think that is the perfect time to explore. But anyway, so that is my review. Actually, that's not my review, because I didn't really talk about the book terribly much. I'm rambling in this video. This book has some great action sequences. It's got some great character sequences. It's not Terry Brooks' best book by any means, but it's actually better than some of his more recent stuff, I think. I think that it is on par with the average Terry Brooks book, and I'm hoping that as the books get longer, the books also get better. But this book, it's good. It's a fun read. It's not going to blow your socks off, but especially if you've read the other Shannara novels, you will enjoy the process of going through this book. So that is my review of The Fall of Shannara. I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. It's really enjoyable. Hopefully he sticks the landing with this tetralogy. So if you've read the Shannara series and you've read this specific book, let me know your thoughts on it. What do you think about the rest of the books in the tetralogy? And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.